Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am once again joined by some special guests, special co-hosts, good friends of mine. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. And, of course, we got Applezach's Zach Markham with us as well. Boys, we are here to review Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the second Black Panther movie. We all watched it yesterday.
Yes.
Yep.
And now it's now Friday, and we're here to review it. Man, I'm excited.
Yes.
We need to I just want to see how you guys are doing before we even get into the movie, though.
Dude, man, doing great, man. Marvel kind of cemented themselves yesterday when we watched the movie. But
Marvel reminded everyone who they are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, doing well. We watched it kind of early yesterday, and it was a lot of fun watching it, and getting back out to watch a Marvel movie because it has been it feels like it's been longer than I think it actually has been. But it's probably been about 5 months since a Marvel movie actually came out. But
And I think we all had different theater experiences as well.
yes,
For
sure.
Yeah, which we'll get into that.
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll get there. Yeah.
Big shout out to all of our listeners, everybody who's listening, watching. We want to remind you to please subscribe, whether you're on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Google, Spotify, whatever. Please hit subscribe so you can stay up to date. And also follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. Stay up to date with us. And yeah, that helps us out a lot. So I think it's just important to maybe just go ahead and drop the spoiler warning. I don't know why you came here thinking we weren't going to be, jumping right into the spoilers. We don't really do non-spoiler reviews. Sorry about that.
We're not disciplined enough for that. That's for sure.
Nope.
No.
I most certainly am.
Yeah, especially Markham. So here's your spoiler warning. But I guess so first of all, the movie was great, and we all liked it, right?
Yeah.
But before we get
Turn
into
the podcast off
yeah,
now.
all right,
You're
that's
done.
it.
You're done.
Before we get into the actual plot and just everything that happens in the movie, I think it's just important that we should probably start by celebrating Chadwick Boseman and just like talk about what the movie did to honor him before we really even get into. And we'll certainly talk about him later on as well.
Right,
but,
of course.
Just for us to start, I think that's where we should go. So I don't know. How did you guys experience the tributes they had for him?
Well, honestly, the big thing that stood out to me for tribute-wise was the silent Marvel Studios logo where every single image was Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman. And it was quiet, and especially in our theater, it was so quiet, man. You could hear a pin drop.
Yeah. Well, no, you could hear is the dude who was late walking up the stairs, and I was like, "What a schmuck!" Because I was like, "Man, like."
Listen, I was so zoned in, I didn't even see that.
Well, because I was thinking, anytime I'm in like a super quiet moment like that, I'm always thinking like, could I hear a pin drop?
Yeah.
And so I'm really listening, and then sure enough, I hear like some steps, and I look over, there's some dude climbing, and you could see him like turning around. Looking at the
trying
screen.
to watch it, yeah.
Well, he's like wondering, like, why is it quiet? But yeah, what a moment, man.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the scene. I mean, it was incredible to see, and like I honestly started to tear up a little bit, man, because it was intense.
And it's so we experienced Chadwick. He passed away, but in the movie, in the MCU, that scene, that intro with no music, literally comes right after T'Challa dies.
Yes.
We're seeing Shuri react, and knowing that we've already reacted for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
So it's like, it's. I don't know, man. It's hard.
It was, exactly.
Yeah.
It was very emotional, and
Yes.
there's a lot of emotional moments. Like you're mentioning, it comes off of the scene where T'Challa has passed away, and we get the memorial service where the funeral, right? We get that whole scene, and Angela Bassett, let's just like shout out there, man. What a performance. But Ramonda is literally telling Shuri that like he's passed away.
Yes.
And we see her trying her hardest to replicate the herb, and she's trying her best. Like she refuses to go by her brother's side because she's so dead set on trying to save him. But then it's all for naught, and she misses out on that.
Well, I think it's partially the dead set, but I also think it's a little bit that she is scared. Like, she is scared to go to his side, because if she goes to his side, then that is admitting that there's nothing else she can do.
Yeah.
Like, that he is going to pass away. Like, it's that kind of idea of, like, where that situation happens. Like, you're admitting that this situation is out of your hands. If you're working, you can constantly feel like there's always a chance. But at some moments, I think at that moment she knew that he was going to pass. But even though she was trying, I kind of had a feeling that she didn't really believe that she was going to solve it at that moment.
Yeah.
And that she was really pushing off all this, like, all the pain and all the, emotion of what was happening, and pushing it all into her work at that moment.
Yeah, and I feel like they did a really good job as far as, like, the the intro with the movie. It was kind of similar to the intro of the first movie with, like, Killmonger and asking his dad and everything to tell a story. And with this intro, you have Suri asking the God they believe in, to save her brother, in a sense.
Yeah. And
then it cuts to her trying to recreate the herb and everything, and try to save her brother, and doing everything she can. Which is a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure and everything. To be put on someone, especially with all the the scientific stuff and going on with Wakanda and being the head scientist, or the head of knowing all the technology. She did the best she could.
Yeah.
But she couldn't do it in that moment, which is understanding.
Totally, and she's in a spot of, like, she won't. In her mind, if she's in her lab, there's still a chance, she hasn't, like, given up yet. Because, like, we see, she's, like, the world's greatest scientist, supposedly now, Riri Williams might have something to say about that. But,
well, yeah, we'll see.
But it's like, when you think of, like, Shuri compared to Tony Stark, like, at some point, Tony, like, he gave up, right? And he's like, I can't solve problems anymore, and I'm not going to even try. Or the whole time travel thing, he was, like, not even going to. Like, he was just so distanced by it. And she's at this place now where her brother is dying, and she is so not confident but insecure about her gifts, where she's like, she has to stay in the lab. And it's so sad because like, she missed the opportunity to say bye in that moment, so.
And I do think, like, there was a lot of these interesting moments where you kind of felt like you felt the loss in a lot of ways, just because of the fact that there was literally no way for them to show us those moments. You could never have that moment where she was by his side as he passes away. There was never a moment where you can show, like, something at his funeral. You couldn't show the body at the funeral. Like, all this stuff, and you felt like all this loss, and it felt so. It was very odd, and, like, it felt weird because it was a real world loss, and it caused these, like, in universe losses as well, where you didn't get to see these traditional scenes that you would normally see. Like, you didn't get the traditional, like, goodbye, or the traditional, like, moment of even something.
Deathbed,
yes,
right?
yeah, like on that, or even the moment where you would think you would get the scene where she would visit the ancestral plane and he would be there,
right?
And then he would talk to her or something, give her, like, a rousing speech or something afterwards. But we never got any of those moments, and it was partially, like, the fact, and it was such an in-universe way of showing, like, the loss in the whole, and that we weren't able to properly mourn him either, because he was just gone so quick.
But what we did get was the raw emotion from the actors of the loss of Chadwick Boseman / T'Challa. Like, you could feel it sitting there in your seat. You could feel the performance that was going on with Angela Bassett. You could feel the performance with Shuri, and just the amount of pain in their performance as far as the loss goes, and the suffering as well. And it was, honestly, you could feel it in the audience, and and especially in T-Roll and I's audience, it was there. It was evident.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was quite the experience.
Yeah, and again, like, this always, if you go see, if you go see Marvel movies on release night, especially in a bigger city, like we were in Atlanta, so it's like. I mean, like maybe one of the best places
to see Black Panther
to watch
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, right. Or even just any Marvel movie, but especially Black Panther, right? Mm-hmm. And it was remarkable. So not only is the audience electric because it's a big movie and it's late at night, but there was such a obviously people are excited. It's weird. It's like there's excitement, but there's also sadness.
Yeah.
And what was remarkable to me, and Justin, you know this, in our theater, the amount of people who were wearing white in head to toe, just like they do at the funeral in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And
but formal white.
Formal, man.
The dresses were beautiful.
Dresses,
absolutely
people
beautiful.
looking great.
Yeah, the gentlemen were decked out in like the most like the
white
crisp,
shoes,
crisp
white pants,
suits, like
white suit. Yeah, I mean
it was beautiful, man. Like I were my white shirt, but I unfortunately don't own a pair of white pants, which I guess unfortunate or fortunate, right? Exactly. I wore a white shirt because I knew for a fact, but like It was absolutely beautiful to see, and I don't know if you noticed this, T-Roll, but while we were going into the movie, the showing before us had let out, and there was like the news was there, and they were interviewing people who were
I did not notice.
Like I would literally walk by, and it was Channel 2 News was interviewing all the people wearing
that's
the beautiful
awesome.
white ceremonial dresses. And
That's super cool. Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite the experience.
So that's like
great,
and that's like a man.
That's a respect thing for what the significance that Chadwick Boseman brought to that character, that role, and
just like Hollywood in general.
Yeah.
What he's done in like the roles,
just pop culture,
yes.
In society, like the idea before the original Black Panther came out, if you had done the Wakandan salute to someone, they'd be like, I have no idea what is going on right now. But now it is completely entered the zeitgeist as a form of tribute, as an example in so many ways.
Yeah. So again, we will certainly talk more about Chadwick. We'll talk more about T'Challa as the review goes on. But I thought it was just appropriate for us to maybe just take some time and again, for the three of us, I mean, I'll never forget, guys, and you know where I'm going right now. We got together early stages of our podcast to review a movie. Ironically, it was the first movie that we saw in theaters during the pandemic.
That's right.
And we won't even mention the movie because it's not worth mentioning. Not a great movie. But we watched the movie and then went to Justin's house to review it, and what you guys don't know is it takes us a while to hit record. Like even tonight, even this podcast, we were probably sitting around too long just talking and you're talking about everything. And I'm scrolling on Twitter and I saw the thing about Chadwick and I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. And it was it was the same year that Kobe Bryant died, and a similar thing where you see it and you're like, no, I have to find another, and then
more sources,
more sources, and then you see more and more and more of it, and you're like, it's real. And I mean, we probably waited a whole hour before we hit record on that review.
Yeah.
And again, 2 years later, we finally get this movie. So, man. So before we go any further, just shout out to Ryan Coogler. He pulled off what an impossible situation to be in. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree.
I mean, what an impossible situation to be in. Like the success of the first film. What it meant to so many people around the world, and to lose such an important man, such an important figure.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then to still nail a sequel.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
What?
They nailed it for sure.
What a stud.
Coogler, man.
So shout out Coogler, man. So all right, not really sure where else to go from here. Let's just talk about the movie, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Everything from the funeral on, I suppose.
So people have been asking me like, "Oh, hey, what do you think about Black Panther?" My one thing that I keep coming back to is that the Black Panther Wakanda Forever, they decided that they were not going to make a Marvel superhero movie, and they decided that they were going to make a beautiful film. Like this truly was like cinema. It was great. The storytelling, the set pieces, everything that had to go along with it. Like it was a good film. It wasn't just a Marvel superhero movie. I feel like this was truly telling a story. And it was standalone. You really didn't have to worry about a pop in from like Ant-Man or anything like that. Like you got a story, and it was told beautifully by Ryan Coogler, and it truly was fantastic. And I was 100% on board. The characters were great, and I loved it.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the visuals were great, especially in Telecon. Like it was really cool seeing those underwater scenes, and you really got to see the some really cool stuff there, and there was a lot of great ways of showing the social strife going on as well. You know, you saw a lot of moments where kind of there was this pushback by the rest of the world on Wakanda, and like, you know, now that Wakanda had kind of entered the world view and, you know, the expectations that the rest of the nations had on them, and you get to see this new superpower come to light, that, you know, is kind of, that was hidden and now is coming to light and could be very powerful in its own right, and seeing, you know, the choices that they decided to make and where their decisions decided to kind of come from. And even though they were kind of behind in the sense of like their entrance into the world, they were also kind of ahead in the sense of like you got to see a lot of where Shuri was headed in Namor, in the way that Namor was acting as well. You got to see, like, if she continued down the path that she was going on, that she was going to end up a leader similar to Namor rather than like her brother or like her grandfather or like her father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they did a really good job, you know, portraying, you know, the repercussions of, you know, them opening up their borders to the other nations and everything.
Yes.
And, you know, in this, you know, and with this movie, you get to see, you know, how people are reacting to, you know, Wakanda losing their protector, you know, the Black Panther and everything. And now, you know, you see like other nations, you know, taking advantage of that and, you know, going in and like, you know, trying to go in and, you know, take advantage of their resource and vibranium and everything like that. But you also see that, you know, they are not ready for those, you know, for those resources yet, or the discovery of those resources, or, you know, their technology for those resources, don't even come, you know, nowhere close of, you know, being able to establish in on that. And which is, you know, just goes more into of like why Wakanda needs to protect, you know, the vibranium and everything like that.
Yeah, I do think Martin Freeman dropped a very like poignant line apart about 3/4 of the way through the movie, and he was like, just talking about how what the United States would be doing if they had the vibranium that Wakanda had.
Yep.
And it was like kind of the way they were portraying the U.S. government in this situation was a very like kind of scary like idea of what kind of weapons would they be creating to do potential terrible damage.
Yeah. It is interesting what you brought up, Markham, about like, you know, Wakanda losing its protector, because, you know, I always kind of imagined that, and this all changed when Chadwick died, but I kind of thought that in the world of the MCU, you know, T'Challa made the big decision to open up the borders, open up communication, to share Wakanda's knowledge and wisdom and resources to some extent with the world. Not that they're just giving out vibranium, but like T'Challa opened things up. And in a real sense, within the MCU, from that moment, not that it was all T'Challa's fault, but from that moment, all these bad things start happening. You know, like Thanos shows up in Wakanda because they brought Vision there. They brought an Infinity Stone to Wakanda.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like all these terrible things happen. And I always kind of figured that Coogler and Feige would probably get into that realm of, I think like if Chadwick was still alive and T'Challa was still alive, we might have seen a movie where there was a lot of unrest within Wakanda for the decisions that he made.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't really get that, and that's fine. I'm just making a point. But the truth is, like, there are ramifications. There are significant ramifications, and I think there's going to be much more to come. Yeah. Although at the same time, I just laugh at the idea of like any country trying anything.
Right,
I really do.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what they're going to need to do to.
Well, I mean, right off the rip, the movie has the French mercenaries trying to steal Wakanda.
You got to imagine those are probably like top guys.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just dusted,
and the Dormilaje just like oh man, that was an awesome opening scene. Oh my goodness, man.
Well, and it's kind of like creates a situation where also it was such a great use of, it was a great way to show power, but like extreme power in a way that they were able to negate their abilities without killing them. Like they were able to bring them in,
just march them in.
Yes, and basically just completely emasculate them in the sense of just taking away everything they have, but without killing them. Like it was a way of it's such an extreme power that they're showing. Yes,
yeah. Okoye, man, she is just a freaking force, man.
She is
absolute
elite.
force.
Just in the entire. You want to talk about someone that, you know, when I watch every Marvel movie, every show, but like there's certain characters when they're on screen and when they're in battle, where I'm just like, I am dialed in.
Yes.
Yeah. And like she might be like maybe like top 5 for me in terms of like my just engagement. Like when she's on screen and in battle, I'm like, I can't look away.
Yeah.
Like that's actually fun. I'd actually like to really think about who else would even be close. But it's like there's an Aurora. There's just a. She's so incredible, man.
Yeah.
And she's badass.
She has very similar. She has a very similar pull in Walking Dead.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. You're
like,
right.
You know, it's just her character type, you know, and just the way that she the feel that she gives out, and so she was just amazing. I think another really an interesting ramification of everything that happened as well was the growth in the character of M'Baku. I feel like a lot of the things that Chadwick would have infused into the role were given to were drawn out through M'Baku as he became a more level-headed leader in the way that you saw him. He was the one who, even though at the beginning he was like, oh well, the fish man.
Let's kill the fish man.
He was like that. But then as it went along, he developed a more level-headed view that I don't think we would have seen as much if Chadwick had, was still in the role.
And M'Baku even says later on, he's like, T'Challa asked me to give you counsel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just so interesting because it's like if you just watch the first Black Panther on its own, like you're not just like walking away from it thinking like, ooh, if I'm T'Challa, I'm gonna ask M'Baku to give anybody counsel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you think about it, like they bring it up. Ramonda brings it up, and the fact that the Jabari tribe was the only tribe that really stood by the royal family, like halfway through Black Panther. All the other tribes were, whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing to actually do in the political sense, were behind Killmonger.
He won that fight fair.
Yeah, like I will. I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, politically it was that way, but the Jabari tribe were still willing to hide them, give them help when they needed it the most. Mm-hmm. And you see, so it makes sense in my mind that way that, T'Challa would have potentially seen M'Baku as potentially his closest, ally outside of his immediate family.
Yeah, it's cool seeing like the Jabari at the council meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like how cool is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when M'Baku, we first see him enter in when he's like gnawing on the carrot, man.
Yes.
Just
Was that a carrot?
It was like a purple carrot.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wakanda carrot. That's what.
Yeah, sure. Let me think. So there's so many different ways we can go. I want to get to Namor later. Okay, make you wait a little bit.
Dude, yeah, make me wait. That's fine.
Let's talk about Shuri. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe we can talk about different characters to some extent before we even get into the full breakdown of the way the plot goes.
Yeah.
Shuri is obviously having a remarkably difficult time.
You could feel
on.
the struggle, man.
Yes.
You really could, man. Letitia Wright did a fantastic job in this role. And I really thought, and I was drawn to her pain. I like it. It was real. You could tell. It was there. And the character, her doubts in her like ancestors and her lineage and all that stuff, like
Tradition, all that stuff.
Yeah, tradition. Like it's 100% relatable. Like she's going through a difficult time,
Yeah,
and
she's gone like full atheist. It sounded like.
I mean,
almost,
yeah,
right? Like, to some extent,
for the most part, yeah, it was that way. And
talking to her mom and
and but like her mom is there to kind of give her the words of wisdom and advice to try to keep her on the quote unquote right track, right?
Yeah.
But just the conclusion that she comes to, and the reason why she makes her decisions leading up into like right before she decides to be just, that kind of thing. You're on board with it. You're like, it's true. It's true. Like the way that things played out, you need to get that vengeance, that kind of stuff. Like, but I don't know. But you're along the ride with her and the struggle with her, and when she does come to the conclusion that she is going to be just and noble like her brother, it means a whole lot more because of what T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, brought to that character.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I just thought it was impressive. I mean, I feel like the whole movie, she wants to rescue Riri. Like they learn that this scientist is a 19-year-old college student. She wants to rescue her. She wants to bring her to Wakanda. When they're captured on that bridge, and again, we'll get into some of the plot and action later, but she says, "Take me to Namor, like take us."
Yeah.
And she tried everything she could to like have a peaceful alliance.
Yeah.
But I mean, Namor was just wrathful. So again, we'll get there. But just focusing on Shuri now. I thought it was a great performance, and yeah, man, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Shuri?
I think she did a great job of showing that of her dealing with the loss and the not only the loss of her brother, but also her lost nature. Like she was like everything about her. She was so fun loving and so like in the first movie, but she had such a like bad turn of events that caused her to be just so much more critical of life in general in this second movie, and I feel like she did an amazing job at like conveying that and dealing with that inner struggle as she was going along. So I do think she did a great job at showing that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah,
I agree.
And like just with the heaviness of her character and everything, like it's not just a portrayal of a character. Like these are thoughts and feelings that she was actually feeling as as an actress, losing a close friend of being on scene and everything. And I feel like they did a really good job portraying that with flashback scenes and stuff like that throughout the series.
Yeah.
And for the majority of the movie, this is a battle between her. Her grief, losing her brother, her grief, or not necessarily grief, but just like disbelief, in the afterlife and everything like that, which is a super strong, belief, with this culture and everything, because funerals are a celebration for them. They know that death isn't the end. Chadwick even says that, in the first in
Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War.
Yeah.
And Suri is struggling, to believe all of this, and in her mind, like she feels like she's the only one because she's so devoted to the technology and everything of Wakanda, and so she's not only is she dealing with this grief, but like she's having to go through feelings of not being able to ever see her brother again because she doesn't believe in the ancestral plane, or not being able to fulfill his legacy and all that kind of stuff because she doesn't believe in the rituals and stuff like that. So it just does a really good job just pulling you in with her grief and everything. I loved every second of it.
Well said, man.
Yeah. Even down to like it was also interesting the fact that she was unwilling to burn the ceremonial garb, and it kind of like shows her like the way that she feels about it, in the sense that if you truly didn't believe that it meant something, you just be like, whatever, and throw it in the fire, like make your mom happy type of situation. But I think she kind of felt like she was so lost, and like she wasn't sure. It shows so she was so unsure about what it actually meant, and she was so unwilling to, like, in her mind, she may still have believed it in some ways, to where she wasn't ready to let go of that possibility. You know, like the idea of his garb still being around was kind of comforting in a way for her, because it kind of meant that he wasn't like gone in a way. So I think that was part of it too. She was just so much struggling about everything in her existence at this point in time.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even say that, she was trying to, hold on to his existence, but I feel like she was trying to hold herself back from, giving into, revenge or vengefulness and stuff like that. And just like the portrayal of this movie, with, Namor's culture and everything, being so close to water, and then, the Wakandas and everything, being so close to fire, even shows that, through Killmonger, burning the herb and stuff like that. Fire plays a big part, and it's a Suri, like if she were to give into that, burning the garments and everything, she wasn't sure that she could control herself from not burning the rest of the world, where she even says that.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's not trying to hold on to her brother's existence, but trying not to take her revenge out on innocent people, which is exactly what Namor is trying to do with the Surface World. Yeah. And I feel like that is the balance that she's having to struggle with throughout the movie and everything, of is she going to be more like her brother, or is she going to give in to the revenge and vengefulness like Namor did?
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why she was so hard on about saving Riri was the fact that was in a way of her like kind of proving to herself that she was worthy of not burning down the world, in a way. Like she saw her being able to save her as being able to save herself in a lot of ways, from the vengeance and the revenge that was kind of eating her up. And, the idea of being able to save this person that this other person was getting out their revenge on, in a lot of ways, was her way of trying to show that she was, worthy, that she was, able to get over her own issues.
Yep. Well, tell me if you guys agree with this or not. I mean, because for me, it's clear that, everything with T'Challa, she's doubting the tradition. She's doubting the ancestral plane. She's in denial, in a sense. She doesn't want to deal with the death of her brother. But I feel like the tipping point is got to be when her mom dies, when Romana dies.
Oh yes, for sure.
Because I think that's when like if she would have recreated the heart-shaped herb earlier, she to save T'Challa, like, she would have had hope, right?
Yeah.
She loses all hope, and then even in the film, like Romana is asking her about the heart-shaped herb, and she's like, we don't need that anymore.
Right, correct.
Right, like she's just over it. And then when she finally creates it, which was a cool scene, which I guess we can get to here soon. Cool when she finally recreates it, it's like, at that point, man, she was gone. Yeah. Like in her head, like her head is gone. Like she's so angry. She's so miserable. That it makes so much sense who she saw when she got to the ancestral plane. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can just get there, I guess.
Sure. Why not? Yeah.
All right. How amazing was it to see Killmonger?
My goodness, man. Like I was hoping and wishing that we would see more of Killmonger, but I was just like, after the events of the first Black Panther, I was like, there's no way. Like, he's dead. He's got to be dead. Yeah. But to see the reveal, like her creeping up in the ancestral plane behind the throne, and then coming around the corner, and to only be greeted by like, "Sup, cuz?"
The way he's sitting too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man.
The way he's sitting, just like not like even really respecting the throne.
Right, correct, yeah. And like I feel like the statement I'm about to make is 100% true. And if I'm wrong, tell me, okay? But Michael B. Jordan is probably the coolest guy in the world right now. Like, I feel like this dude is absolutely like the essence of cool. Like,
you're wrong. You're absolutely no. I'm just kidding, man. Michael
like
B.
as soon as you come around the corner,
Johnny Blaze,
and you see him, right, and he is there sitting, just chilling on the throne, man. And the conversation that he has, the aggressiveness in his nature, and he's aggressive but truthful at the same time.
Yeah,
because. The line he drops of like, do you want to be noble like your brother, or do you want to get done like me? Like, do you want to get it done?
Yeah.
He is 100% like playing into what she wanted at the time. Like when she took the heart-shaped herb, like she knew exactly.
That was her mental state.
Her mental state was that, and that's why he appeared to her.
That was her spiritual state.
Yeah.
Yes.
She wanted to make things happen. She did not want to just sit around and try to hope for peace, like that kind of thing. Like she was going to get it done. And it was amazing to see their interaction and just to see him on screen again. And why does he have to be dead? Like why can't he be in the MCU right now?
It's funny how we get mad at Marvel when they don't kill off people, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no stakes, and then when they kill someone off that we don't want them to kill off, we're like mad at them still.
Yeah.
I know. Never win.
I mean, but they did the best that they could. They kept him dead, which kept all the gravity of what happened in the first movie, but you still got to see him. So that was awesome. And like I think it was when he was there, he understood that the only reason that he was there was because she wanted him there in a way.
Yeah.
So I think it was very, he knew that he could push her buttons and try to push her. One like crazy idea I had that might have happened would have been maybe she came out and she was like, "This isn't for me." Like I was kind of wondering if like she was gonna just like she knew she needed to pull away. That she was so close to all this power of being the Black Panther, and she saw what her cousin was that she might. I was thinking when she pulled out that she was actually gonna be like, "I can't do this. Like I can't be the Black Panther because of what is inside me." And I was thinking maybe she would, pass the mantle on to like Nakia or something like that. Since she's right there, she's like, "You're gonna have to do this instead," and like have her go in and potentially do that. I was wondering if that might play out.
Yeah. I mean, even though she didn't do that, she kind of did it in a sense as far as like a change of heart. And you even see that, after she gets done, speaking with Killmonger and getting back and, the creation of her suit, which her suit was fantastic. It even showed like, references to, obviously, Chadwick Boseman and everything with the Black Panther, but also it had the gold in it from Killmonger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
And then like it even like,
well, even her decision making, choosing the helmet, like she had the choice to choose Chadwick's style, but like she went with Killmonger.
Yes.
With her own spin on it, with the ancestral dots and everything like that she had during the funeral, of her brother and everything that she had on the helmet.
Very good.
Which I thought was really cool. Very good touch.
Man, it's incredible. So, and then how about this too for Shuri? Like, they evacuate the city, and everybody goes up to Jabari Land. Did I say that right? Jabari Land?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said that right.
I mean, we all knew.
Why are you laughing?
It's Jabari people. I don't think it's Jabari Land though. Like
I could have sworn M'Baku said that.
It's the territory of Jabari. Like that's.
I'm gonna go look. I think
ahead,
I'm right,
please,
and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry if someone's listening and I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. But anyways, they're up there and they're having their council up there, and Shuri just drops in.
Oh yeah.
Shuri drops in, fully in the Black Panther,
and an immediate arm wrestling match with M'Baku.
Well, and I think the significance of that was to really prove, like, does she have the power
of the Black Panther?
Yeah. And like,
why are you
she
wearing
does.
this? That kind of thing. Right?
Because if not, let's be honest, M'Baku would just totally crush her.
Decimate.
In that arm. Yeah.
But M'Baku's reaction to knowing and realizing that she has that power was amazing.
And the crowd, and the audience, our audience was losing its mind.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that was just like another awesome. Like, I felt like the growth of M'Baku's character was like a underlying thing that was so cool in the entire movie. Like, I felt like he grew so much as a character under the surface as all this other stuff was happening, and he became so much more a leader throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like even in that scene, he wasn't even like testing her. He was showing everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like that was the reason for it. Like, he knew that he had to show that she was the Black Panther, that she was in control.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even so much about, strength and strength. It was all the leaders were there, all the people were there. They needed to see that she was this, that she could be this strong leader to guide their people to the next stage.
Yeah. He played a role kind of like a big brother.
Yes.
He gave counsel.
Yes.
And he was able to be there for her and lift her up. Like, especially the funeral of her mother, at the end, like when he's having that conversation one-on-one with her, and she says like, "Oh, you're talking to somebody who like doesn't believe in traditions and all that kind of stuff, right?" But he's like, "You've gone a little girl, right?" She says, "I'm a little girl," like that kind of thing, right? He's like, "You've gone through too much to be a little girl anymore. Like, you're not like that." That's something like a brother would say. Like that, he would be like, "Listen, I'm here with you, and I can see that you're dealing with stuff, and you're not that child anymore.
Yeah.
You're more than that." And yeah, it was a very good to see their relationship kind of just grow and build, kind of based on what we were told in the movie, what Chadwick saw that kind of role building for him, and it was good to see that play out.
Okay. There's more to talk about Shuri, but I think we'll pause on it because the rest of the Shuri development really comes in the battle scene at the end.
Yeah.
And even with M'Baku, like, he didn't agree with her.
Oh, no.
But then she said, "No, but you're still going to help me." And like, even in that moment, like when they go on that mission, she's still not in a good spot. She's not.
No.
So, it's a lot happens in that when they're on the desert shore, wherever they're at. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I think it's time to talk about Namor.
Please.
Yep.
Yes.
Please.
So, Justin, just to set you up here, I'm going to say one thing real quick.
Sure, please.
We don't see Namor when they attack the people that are searching for vibranium. Do we see him then? I don't think we do.
We see him. I mean, he throws the helicopter around, but you
don't.
don't.
Yeah, you see like an outline.
That's right.
You're not.
You're right. A
personal.
silhouette. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Okay, but we get introduced to him when Shuri and Romana are on like the shore of a little lake there. Man, Justin, I'll let you just take it away for a little bit.
So, man, for me, he stole the movie. He stole everything. Every scene he was in, like, he stole. And Namor, as he claimed to be, which, I mean, everybody calls him Namor, but like Namor, like the meaning behind his name, like the one with no love, like it makes 100% sense as far as like where his mindset was as being the quote unquote villain of this movie. But the fact that he was there as the powerhouse. He was the powerhouse of the entire movie. For 2 hours and 20 minutes, he had Wakanda under his thumb. He had Wakanda not looking like a superpower. Wakanda, for the most part, by the end of the first Black Panther movie, they were the superpower in the world. They were the ones who had the resources to give to the world, the resources, the knowledge and stuff to give. And here comes Namor, and here he is, like with his up like has Ramonda like against like her throat, and he is, "We will come back and kill you," that kind of thing, right? But the performance that Tenoch Huerta gives, man, as Namor is phenomenal, man. Like I may be biased, right? Like as a Mexican, as seeing somebody who is portraying a Mexican figure in the Yucatan, right? Like it's as the Mayans, right? Even though my background is more Aztec than Mayan, but regardless, the fact that he is Mexican, and we get to see that lineage, we get to see that background, and it is awesome to see that type of culture being portrayed. Even when he takes her to Talocan, like, and you see like the whole reveal, the music that's playing, like it's in Spanish, and it's awesome. Like the whole scenery is awesome, and any interaction with them under the water. Let me just take a minute as a DC fan to say that Marvel destroys underwater sequences compared to what the heck they did in Aquaman. Like, it is the underwater scenes in like the capital city of Talocan. It is beautiful. Like the CGI is fantastic. The absolute interaction with the people underwater, like you can feel like you're underwater. Whereas whatever the heck the bubble was that went around them in Aquaman in DC, like Marvel did it 10 times better. And it hurts me to say that, but it's true. Marvel did it better.
And respectfully so, because I mean, technically, Namor came out before Aquaman.
Yes, correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. But his performance was gripping. His interactions with Angela Bassett was just like, it was like Juggernaut versus Juggernaut. Like the dialogue that they had and they shared was phenomenal. And even, especially like when she used the shell to kind of call him to her.
Yes, this scene on the shore.
Oh yeah, on the shore, and he is like when he comes out of the water. And like he's walking close to her, he flips his hair back and he comes up to her, and the fact that he is like up in her face and he is so close and personal with her, and the threats and the
pause right there real quick because she makes a threat to him.
She does,
and this is again one of my favorite audience moments from last night. I don't know if you caught it, but when she says that we're gonna we'll tell the Americans that you exist. He doesn't immediately respond. Instead, he has the most menacing, slow trot towards her.
Yeah, he comes close.
He comes close, gets at like 1, 2 o'clock, right? And says, "You won't tell the Americans anything."
Yeah,
like dude,
I'm telling you, they had Wakanda under his thumb.
But here's the thing: but the audience was like, when he was even before he said a word, you could see in his face, and when he was walking slowly, the people behind me they said. Ooh, like they knew what was about to come, the threat. Yeah. So man,
dude,
just gripping
so
stuff.
Many different levels. Like just his dialogue and his performance was just for me was just incredible. And if I'm wrong and I'm being too overly biased, please somebody like chime in and tell me I'm wrong. But like I feel like he delivered like one of the most perfect performances that I've seen in a long time as far as a Marvel villain goes. Like it was absolutely insane what he was able to accomplish.
Yep.
Like he literally made Wakanda feel like they were insignificant. Like that's how crazy it was.
Well, I think one of the coolest things is just the fact that you got to see the world of that is normally like powerful, like the UN and all this stuff, just basically be this third wheel that's always trying to catch up to these two superpowers. Like it was just really cool seeing this situation where you have the Wakandans and the people from Talocan that were like so powerful and so that the Americans were always just trying to chase down these people. Like it was always they were always at a disadvantage in every moment that they were in combat or trying to search for whoever they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing is like this is the first time that Wakanda saw a different light. And whenever I say that, I mean is like they thought for the longest time, like I'm talking about like years and years and years, they thought that they were a chosen people as far as the miners of vibranium. And now, like, it's come to light that, there's another race underwater, mind you, that, also has vibranium and also, has, similar traditions as, they do. And their whole world changed. Yeah. Their whole world changed because all of their beliefs and everything, prior, they thought, they were the only ones with vibranium.
Yeah.
They even said that, whenever, Namor came to light and everything and they had vibranium, they thought it was impossible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love the line when he comes out and he's like talking about vibranium and remind us like, that's it. Like he's basically saying that's impossible. And then Shuri's just like,
Mom, he's covered in it.
Yeah, he's covered in it. And it was interesting because it was almost like saying, she was basically saying, Mom, you're blinded. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not seeing straight, in this moment because it's so obvious. He's just covered in this stuff. How are you not seeing what is going on right now?
What's in front of you?
It was kind of like the idea that you're seeing Shuri in that moment was the open-eyed ideas of Wakanda, and Ramonda was the closed-eyed view that they used to have of them having that they were these chosen people that that they were the only ones who had vibranium, and she was unwilling to, even when it was literally smacking her in the face, that she was unwilling to see the vibranium that was right in front of her.
Yeah, and I have different speculations on how they acquired, the vibranium and everything, and bear with me on this. All right, but I think the vibranium came from like different debris from like wreckage and stuff like that from the very first Secret Wars. And that wreckage and everything went through different timelines, landed in different areas. One debris meteorite, if you call it, landed in Wakanda. The other one landed in the ocean, which makes sense because the world is what, like 90% water, like 70% water, something like that.
Okay.
And with that, different nations or ancient nations and stuff like that was able to jump on that debris and require its material and stuff like that. And I feel like that is going to be a tie-in, to Kang the Conqueror and his dynasty and everything like that we're going to learn more about in Ant-Man and Quantumania and everything like that.
Well, the interesting thing also about what the Yucatan one is, of course, because if it was a meteor or whatever maybe debris it was, I mean, it is relatively well known that the meteor that struck the Yucatan is generally the one that is considered to have wiped out the dinosaurs.
Correct.
So, like, is that also, like, are they saying that this debris, if it is debris or whatever it may have been of vibranium, was the thing that wiped out the dinosaurs, Right. So that puts a interesting, like, way to connect real world to the MCU and it make, like, sense,
Correct. And who's to say, like, not an Eternal or something like that, like through the meteorite, or something like that caused, the extinction of the dinosaurs or something like that. Or it could have been debris from, like, some large megastructure spacecraft or something.
The MCU could, like, tweak the idea of, like, was it really a meteor or was it debris or, whatever it may have been. But the idea of it connecting with, that specific area where they chose to make that meteor strike fits in so well with the real world idea of it smashing into the Yucatan and the extinction of the dinosaurs.
So something else that kind of makes sense is when it's revealed that Namor is a mutant. So he ages differently, and he's been around for 500 years, and he was there at he was born into a world of where it's like a hybrid of like humans took the drink of the flower that was found on the vibranium, and the humans that took it had to go to the water, right? But he was a product of both, right? So he was born a mutant, and he literally says it. He's been around for 500 years, right? So he sees humanity for what it is, right? He's experienced it for what, like, all the ugliness of humanity. And so therefore when he says the line to Shuri, like, you're just like me, you want to watch the world burn, like, let's do it together, that kind of thing, like, why not, right? Like, from what they've both experienced and what we as the audience are seeing them unfold, like what's going on between them, like, why would you not back the fact that, like, make the world burn? Like, you've been wronged, you've been oppressed, you've been forced into hiding, like, that kind of stuff. Like, why would we not, as an audience, like relate to that? But in all actuality, the Black Panther mantle that Chadwick Boseman established was something more than that. It was something that would build and lift up humanity. Yeah, and we see the conflict.
Namor and Killmonger would get along great.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
They would. They had the literal same worldview.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily wrong, but it was.
What if season
different
2?
Perspective.
Yes.
Killmonger running Wakanda meets up with Namor, and they take over the world.
That'd be really cool. Yeah. I mean, they really could.
I'm just happy with the fact that they were able to drop the word mutant
Yes.
in this movie.
Oh,
which
yes.
is
Yeah.
like,
So how'd that strike y'all, man?
well, it was one of the many flexes I feel like they pulled in this movie
Yes.
as far as like just Disney and
Yeah.
what they own now. Because for years like they weren't even
Can't say that word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't say that word because Fox owned the rights.
Yep.
But then like when Ironheart and everything dropped the lines of 3 major movies. Beauty and the Beast, Leia.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then I can't remember the other one, but when she was making references, like it was just another flex of like what Disney owns.
Yeah.
As far as like copyrights and stuff like that.
Correct.
So the mutant thing, and I don't know how y'all took it. I think I mentioned this to you, maybe Justin, last night when we were driving back, or maybe I said to someone else. But when Namor says that too, I was born a mutant or whatever he said, the way he said the word mutant, it almost felt like, to me, it sounded like he knows that that's more than just like he had a mutated gene. Like
Yeah.
he said it in a way that, to me, it's like he knows that there's more
Others like
that
him.
there's
Yeah.
others. Yes. I don't know if you guys thought that, or if I'm just reading too much into
Yeah,
it. But
well, I gathered it as like he's been around a long time, and he has kind of deduced and figured out that yes, like he is a mutant, and this thing does happen to people, and he's seen other things like it, but we just as the audience haven't gotten there yet in the MCU. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you're around for 500 years, like you're going to see things, you're going to experience things, and he's most likely speaking the truth. Like he's most likely because he's experienced it. Like that's you have to assume that yes, he knows exactly what he's talking about when he says mutants.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like, at the very least, they definitely wanted that line to hold weight, And it might just be the fact that Disney and Marvel just can't hold back their giddiness at the fact that they can say it now, and they just they just can't stop not dropping hints here and there about mutants and mutated genes and stingers and like songs and stuff like that they're just they want us to know that the X-Men are on the horizon.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, for me, I still stand by, like, I think we could get through the entire Phase 5 and Phase 6, everything with Secret Wars and all that, and still not even. I would love if all the X-Men stuff came after.
Yeah.
Like, certainly meeting a couple mutants here and there, but in terms of getting like a true X-Men movie or storyline, that could be its own multi-phase thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Its own saga.
It's funny you mentioned like the phases, right? Like because technically, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, it signifies the close of Phase 4, right? But you also T-Roll mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that this is Marvel like literally throwing their weight around, saying like we are the giant, the juggernaut of the movie industry.
When Ramonda says to Shuri, "Show them who you are,"
yes,
it's Marvel showing everybody who they are.
Because
really, they
technically,
are.
Phase 4 as an overall whole has not really been the greatest. Like you're considering the shows and some of the cheesiness of some of the movies that we got.
Yeah.
Like this right here is the stamp, the seal, the whatever that Marvel knows what the heck they are doing, and they can build this world of weight and seriousness and emotions, and they have the control.
Did you hear
to
that,
do
Ryan?
That. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, you hear that? Yeah, Marvel's back.
Yes, I mean that's what this was.
I'm just gonna say this, man. If Angela Bassett doesn't win like a Grammy
Oh
or
my
something
God.
for this performance,
Yeah.
Oscar, you mean?
Yes.
Grammy.
Yeah, I'll take a
Grammy.
Grammy too, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, the soundtrack will win a Grammy. It will. Like
Yeah.
it was fantastic.
Like her performance was so compelling, like through this movie and everything. Like she put in like real heart and grit.
So
yeah.
let's-
Oh, the speech, man. The speech she gives.
Well, I was gonna say, let's
in
talk
the
about
throne
her.
room.
We haven't really focused on her.
We have
yet.
not, yeah. The speech she gives in the throne room when she's like denouncing Okoye, like which was a hard scene to
Yes.
watch because
That was a difficult
Okoye
scene.
is like elite. Like she's fantastic.
Yeah,
You're just
which
seeing like
I thought was stupid,
Yeah.
by the way.
That whole scene? Well, I mean,
Yeah, not that it was a bad
Look
scene,
at it
it was a
through
good
her,
scene.
look at it through her eyes, though.
Yeah.
Like Ramonda is like, she's like I lost my son, I lost my husband, and you had one job. Your one job was to protect my daughter. The daughter that I did not want to bring into the field, the daughter that I did not want to experience the world in her state. Like, you had one job and it was to protect her, and you lost her. Not only did you lose her,
I think she's blinded, bro. You mentioned earlier that she was blinded. I think the truth is Ramonda was seriously blinded. She could not accept the fact that Wakanda was not the strongest people, the strongest country in the world. You know, and she couldn't accept it.
Yeah,
and it's like
they weren't the chosen ones.
And it's like, okay, Okoye is your best warrior, and right now you are under attack. And you're gonna kick her out. I mean, get out of here.
Yeah, I do think it is hard because you're right about some of the stuff about her being blinded, but she brought up some good points in that as well. That made it hard to be like, if you're really thinking about it from her perspective, about like what, once again, like you were saying, Justin, she lost her son,
Mm-hmm.
she lost her technically. Her husband was kind of under their protection probably as well.
But then she throws in Killmonger and how she was pledged loyalty to Killmonger just because of her sense of duty and not to the family. But to
Wakanda.
Yeah, but to Wakanda. But like under the mantle of Eric Killmonger. Like that's.
See, here's my thing. I think Angela Bassett did great. I think Ramonda showed a ton of weakness in this movie. I really do.
Wow.
I think she was flawed.
That's a bold statement.
I think she was very flawed.
No, I don't think necessarily she was flawed.
I
think the blinded is real. Yeah, and
it's like, if you can't get over yourself that the freaking king's guard is gonna stand by the king, whoever the king is, then you're the problem. It's, you lost your whole family, but it's like Killmonger won the throne. And they had to be loyal to him. Like,
right? Yeah. I mean,
get over yourself.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
I mean, but you have to also think about from her side, like, if you're being then hunted down.
Not to mention that Killmonger is a result of her husband's flawed nature and leadership too. So she needs to get off her high horse, bro.
Yeah, that's a very valid.
So it's
statement.
like you're all, oh man, dude.
I will admit she was blinded, and she put her people and her family and everything about her on this pedestal of that they were this perfect country, that they did not have any issues, that there was nothing inside them, that they were all in lockstep with each other, and that obviously was not true. But I will understand that she does have some like decent points about like there were some failures to her family that happened throughout as well.
Yeah.
Like that's like Okoye's fault?
I mean, the idea of the fact that the way they were acting, like, I mean,
I would even say that, with Okoye and everything, like, not even, Ramonda, but like the entire nation of Wakanda was blinded to the fact that, there was another nation out there that was going to be more powerful or on the same level or as, strategic as they were.
I mean, even now, okay, so just thinking about the security facts, even after Namor got in, they were so adamant about the fact that, no, we'll fix these holes. They'll never get back in. Like that there was
pride.
Yes, it was an overarching pride that also bled into, it wasn't just with that, but it was also the person who, she's the head of their military. And they were so adamant that no one would ever get back in again.
Who's the head of the military?
Okoye.
No, she's the head of the King's Guard, not the military.
She is their general. She is the leader of their militaries as well.
Is that true? I thought it was just
I got it.
I thought that the Dora Milaje was just like for protecting the king, not necessarily the military.
No, I think she has a significantly higher position than that.
Yeah, I took it as that too.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah. Dude, Okoye, she's elite. Why would she not command the whole?
The point is, you're literally like getting rid of your strongest warrior right now.
Yeah, no, the timing didn't.
She's
didn't
prideful,
line up.
bro.
Yeah,
Yes,
you're right.
Ramonda's prideful, and she showed a lot of weakness and insecurity. It's just I'm sorry if you guys disagree, but
Well, okay, I 100% agree that she had weaknesses and that she was prideful and that she was blinded in those moments. But there were things that were also that she said that were truthful and valid in those in that moment.
I think the biggest issue was that she wasn't willing to accept fault.
Yeah, I think
which is
think,
pride.
For what
And
was
arrogance.
going on. Correct.
You're totally right. Yeah.
And she still wanted her nation to thrive and to be a perfect nation, but like there was too much going on with her family that was getting in the way of her leadership, and in a sense it was creating an alternate state of her leadership and everything where you could dispute if she was putting Wakanda first or her family first.
Which that kind of played out in when Shuri was in the ancestral plane talking to Killmonger, where he was like, he made this statement like, if it wasn't for your brother, like Wakanda would have probably killed Riri, like because of her exposure to, like,
well, I think it was her father.
Yeah, her father would have. Yeah, and which, to be honest with you, I mean, like Killmonger made a really good point there because he was just like Wakanda is not all cracked up, like it cracked out to be like what it is.
They were a very isolationist country that was very them first.
Yes,
if they felt like they could do something that would secure their safety, they were okay with throwing another person, another country under the bus.
Yeah, all at the cost of protecting your people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The greater good, I guess you would say. But yeah, man, gosh, it was so much going on in this movie. I mean, it was a fantastic movie. It really was.
Okay, so there's still more.
As we creep later. And
Yeah,
later.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a big movie. We can do a longer review.
Absolutely.
So, the actual ending fight scene, like the big battle. Okay, first of all, to me, it's like I understand you have to draw them out of the water, but there's also like you're really just gonna go like on the ocean on a boat, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that just seemed like such a questionable
I don't know,
call.
man.
That was a terrible decision in my mind. Yeah, I was like, okay, I got the idea of drawing them out, but if they're in such a like want to do this situation, like draw them into a situation where you have the upper hand.
Yes.
So
And I felt like they thought they had the upper hand, but I mean,
But that whole situation to me, it made the most sense. And the reason I say that is because like what enemy would think that they would come to their home turf to fight them.
Yeah.
And I feel like they went into that that battle prepared for the fact that they were on their home turf. That's the whole reason why they had that sonic disruptor or whatever in the water. And while they had a plan, to get, Namor, up in, a ship and get dehydrated where he lost his power.
Yeah. So you mentioned the plan, like it seems like, okay, we get him in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, like that's in their turf, right? But if you think about it, like they mentioned, like getting him isolated, right? They mentioned getting him dried out, right? But so they got him in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but like close enough to an island to where they knew that the conditions there were going to lead to a better chance of defeating Namor, right? Like once they figured out that he's absorbing the oxygen from the air and the sea, and therefore it's making him more powerful than he should be, right? That kind of thing. And so they were able to use that and isolate him on the island where they have their awesome fight scene where she gets stabbed through the gut, which I don't like. They completely disregarded that completely.
Dude,
yeah.
She should be dead.
Yeah, she should be. Yeah, she should be dead, or at least like hospitalized or something like that. Right?
Dude, she took a vibranium spear to the gut.
Yeah, there's a few things in this movie that I was not so high on, and that was one of them. But also there was some CGI in this that I was not
wonky.
I was not
Yes.
like, for example, when Okoye was in her Midnight Angel garb. Like I feel like the CGI on that was pretty rough.
I feel like the whole I feel like a lot of superhero movies have kind of lazily gone to the whole just taking off the helmet part so you can see the face of the actor, and I feel like a lot of times it does not look good.
Yeah,
like it looks.
I agree with that.
It does not look good. Yeah. Now to get back to what I feel like the whole situation is, they knew what Telecon wanted. So you have to, I would say you draw them out by putting them in a situation where You give them what they want in an area where they have to come to something to where you're in a good defensive position. And I feel like the whole idea of going out there into the Atlantic Ocean, even with the Sonic Disruptor, was another symbol of Wakanda being kind of arrogant and thinking that they can do whatever they want. Just like the whole idea of, them thinking that they'll never get into Wakanda again because we have, our security is the best in the world.
Right.
Well, obviously it wasn't the first time. So, I mean, what is really happening how much more did you up at the second time? So I feel like it was just another step in the realm of, I mean, you literally have what they want. They want Riri. They want Riri.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do? You put Riri in you have to put her in a place where you have a position of power.
Right.
Correct.
Well, how about the fight scene with the Dora Milaje hanging off the side of the boat, and then Shuri as Black Panther jumping on the side and like clawing her way around the ship to destroy all of these freaking Talokan people, like
warriors.
It was incredible to watch.
Was sick.
I love that. I love that part of it. And then Riri having the full suit, like the Ironheart suit, like full Iron Man vibes going on, like Wakandan style. Like she was incredible watching her fly around. I love seeing the bigger, bulkier suit. It kind of gave me like flashbacks to like Iron Man Mach 1. Like it was bigger, bulkier, but like sleek at the same time. It was great to see that.
Yeah. I also thought, so going back to the scene that you're talking about with the Dora Milaje going over the edge, I did think it was a good way to show the current state of how Wakanda was feeling about feeling united in a way by having the Jabari being the ones who were holding it, and just showing the connection between the different tribes in those moments, that one tribe was helping out this other tribe because for the most part up until this point, it was each tribe kind of fought on their own. Mm-hmm. Like in every moment that you would see, they might fight on the same battlefield, but you would see Jabari fighting with the Jabari fighting together, or you would see the Dora Milaje fighting. But this was one of the scenes where you see a large group of both sides working together, or both parts of Wakanda working together for this one single mission.
Well, us as the audience, we know that the strategy of going to the Atlantic Ocean and fighting them was a wrong one, because there's only like 10 of them left.
Dude.
10 Wakandans left.
Yeah.
And they're all surrounded. And if it wasn't for Shuri like defeating Namor and like bringing him back and saying like, we're done fighting, it's peacetime, like Wakanda would have been wrecked. They would have been wrecked by the freaking.
I mean, even if she had made the decision to kill Namor,
like
there would have been there would have been no one there to be like, hey, maybe, or there would have been no one to be like, hey, stop. They would have just been like, oh, Namor is dead. We're just gonna annihilate everybody on your ship.
Yeah, and in your country. Like, I don't know. Not that it takes anything away from the movie, because the movie overall was good, but I always struggle with movies that have an ending like that, with the conflict, like with a battle, where it's like, hey, we were just killing everybody, and now we're just gonna.
Now we're cool.
Now we're all right.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, the senseless death.
I feel like with that scene, and just like with the mindset and everything with Namor, is like he gained an ally in a sense, even if like it didn't pan out the way he wanted, he thought that it would, or the way that Shuri thought it would, either way, like he consented and everything to the battle, he yielded, but at the same time, like he gained an ally of Wakanda, and vice versa.
I mean, yes, but it also you got to think about the people that were actually fighting. It's hard for a Wakandan to be like, you know what, I'm cool with you now, member of Talokan, even though you just killed my brother.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think Talokans are going to feel that way too. Like.
Yeah.
We see that.
Oh yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
At the end, where Namora, the sister of Namor, is calling him out, like kind of like, what have we done? Like, why are we giving into that? But then he says it's like all part of a bigger plan. It's all correct. It's like they're gonna come to us because they need us
when they need us.
I feel like there's going to be a greater enemy. Which, I mean, obviously we know that there's going to be a greater enemy with King of the Dynasty and everything coming out. I feel like I feel like he, in some sort of way or fashion, he's going to, vibranium is going to be an asset, with this next phase. And there's two nations, that are protectors in a sense of vibranium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're whether they like it or not, they're going to have to join together in order to protect it or defend it,
Right.
Yeah.
From Kang.
And
and like maybe Kang is pressuring the outside world to put pressure on Wakanda and Talokan because, is the UN going to put more and more pressure on them to be like, hey, like.
Also, just to clarify, as far as I know, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Like, Wakanda did a good job of not letting it slip that Talokan even existed. Like throughout the whole movie.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Nobody knows about
they
them.
did.
Yeah.
However, I feel like that's going to come back and hurt them just with speaking as far as like the Thunderbolts and all that kind of stuff go. Because in this movie we learned the director of the CIA and everything is the one that puts the Thunderbolts and everything together.
Yeah, we see Val.
And,
Val is in
correct.
full. Yeah, it's funny you mention that now because like here we are at the end. We're about to like wrap up very shortly, and we're just now mentioning Everett Ross and Val De La Fontaine. Like,
Well, I think it's because that's a side part of the movie.
It's a side. That's the point of the movie that's going to connect the rest of the universe. Like that's
correct
because everything that happened with Wakanda and Talokan is. It can stand alone. It truly can. But like the Everett Ross and the Vals, like that's what's going to build the rest of this universe. And the Thunderbolts are a thing. They're going to happen. And Val is kind of orchestrating that.
Well,
correct. Yeah, my speculation is that they're going to infiltrate Wakanda to discover, Namor and his people and all that kind of stuff, and discover, the threat that the U.S. face. As far as vibranium and how to get it, and once they discover that Wakanda is not the only resource that they have to go to as far as vibranium, they're going to pry on that.
Yeah,
I'm just like, how are they going to get into Wakanda?
Yeah.
How are they going to infiltrate Wakanda?
Yeah, that was quite the entrance that Shuri had to do, like to get in the pipeline and fly like speeds all the way down to the middle center of the ocean.
No, I
Like,
was
yeah.
I was just talking about Wakanda. Like, how are the Thunderbolts going to get into Wakanda?
Oh yeah, good point. I was like,
but
how are you going to infiltrate Talokan? Like, there's no.
I don't know if
freaking
they're
way.
going to. I feel like the next time we see Talokan is going to be like. I think Namor's right. I think they're going to be needed. Like Wakanda's going to need them.
But here's the thing: how did the French infiltrate Wakanda?
They didn't.
They didn't.
That was Molly.
That was
outpost. Nobody has infiltrated Wakanda as far as we know, except for Killmonger and maybe Claw, I guess.
Yeah.
I think was it? Claw did because he got his hands on some
Vibranium. Yeah.
So.
And I guess Thanos. But I mean, that's a little different.
Of course, yeah. That's a whole.
Yeah, a little different. So it's like, yeah. But okay, hold on.
Technically, he didn't infiltrate it. They let him in.
That's fair. That's a good point. Okay, how about this? Everett Ross and Val were formerly married.
What the heck?
I did not have that on my bingo card.
No way. No way. Wow. That was wild.
what a curveball, man.
Yeah. But hey, sure, why not, right?
Well, and okay, so she's the CIA director, right? Like that's what we picked up on here.
That's what I'm gathering. Yes.
So, at the very least, some secretive organization. Maybe not the actual CIA, but someone who acts like the CIA.
All I'm going to say is,
I think
with great power comes great responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
Not
really.
Not for her.
What are you getting at?
I don't know, dude. I heard it in a movie somewhere.
Wait. Am I missing a Spider-Man connection, or are you just tired because we've almost
her and her power that like she potentially has with recruiting all these people, like that whole kind of thing. Like I don't know.
No, but
like
what's the connection to Spider-Man?
It's not a connection to Spider-Man. It's just a cool line to throw out.
Oh,
you know what
okay.
I'm saying?
My bad. We're at that point of the pod where we should have stopped it a while ago, and we're missing each other.
So yeah, on that note.
Well, no, I mean, real quick. Let me think. Is there anything else with Val and?
Yeah. I would say like we kind of move on from there. Yeah.
So the one cool thing I'll say is when Everett Ross said, and somebody mentioned it earlier, but he said, have you ever thought about what they could be doing? What Wakanda could be doing? And then he said, would you imagine what the U.S. could do if they had vibranium? And she says, I actually dream about that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where you can see that twinkle in her eye where it's like she's going to try to get in.
Yes, that idea that seems sinister.
And you know what? The only thing I can think of, and what does she have on him? But in that official Marvel poster, they have Bucky as a part of the Thunderbolts, which to me just doesn't, unless she's blackmailing him, it doesn't make sense why Bucky would go back into that world.
Yeah, right.
But that's the only in I could think of. Like he was a former, rehab patient in Wakanda.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Wakandan refugee.
The White Wolf, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that could be how they get in. They need him
it's got to be, yeah. But I don't know. We're gonna have to. Marvel's gonna have to explain to me why he's on that team. Like, what does she have?
They
on
will.
him?
They will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so.
All right, last call. Anything else on this movie you guys want to discuss?
I mean,
I loved it.
Mid-credit.
Oh, the mid-credit scene.
Man,
Which,
Shimano,
you know what? I
golly.
forgot. So, truthfully, we should have said it at the very beginning when we were talking about just kind of how they're honoring Chadwick and T'Challa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot about it, but I'm glad you reminded me. Yeah, man, that was again, didn't have that on my bingo card.
No. The reveal that Shuri's having her moment on the beach, and then Nakia walks up, and boom, she's got a child with her, and boom, it's
Right when I saw the little kid, I was like,
yeah.
oh, boy, I know who that is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's T'Challa's son, and the explanation of like T'Challa wanted him to grow up not with the pressure of the crown, like the pressure of Wakanda, everything that came along with it, and so Nakia was to, kind of be off and raise him and but still teach him the ways, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. It makes sense. It does make sense because the crown of Wakanda, it has to have a heavy weight.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And it also makes more sense why Nakia was not there.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it seems a little selfish, truthfully, on Nakia's part for her to not be there with the family in the immediate aftermath of T'Challa's passing.
And that's Nakia's character too. She's always been the one to flee from.
She's more of the spy. Like even M'Baku is like, the spy, the
spy
one
who saves Wakanda again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just with the whole scene, I feel like they did a pretty good job with like orchestrating that. Even in the beginning part of the movie, where Ramonda says that I have to tell you something about our brother. Or about your brother, and then they cut off where like they get distracted.
That's true.
I imagine that had to
have been. And we see how Nakia was calling Shuri and like multiple times. So I think she was trying to reach out, but Shuri was wounded, man. She was scarred.
Yeah.
And she was down.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to see where that goes and if anything happens from that. But yeah, I guess one last shout I would say is that the character of Riri Williams.
We really didn't even.
Yeah, we really didn't. We just she was here or there and popped up in our conversation tonight, But her character, I thought that she provided the appropriate amount of humor to a very somber movie. And that character and watching her play out in a series is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So thought on that. A lot of times, all the young Avengers that we've seen so far, almost all of them, I'm like, like somewhat insufferable at times. She's like the first. Is she going to be a young Avenger? I imagine because she's 19.
I would assume so. Yeah,
just based on her age, I'm assuming, but. I loved her, man. I thought she was great.
Fantastic.
And,
absolutely fantastic.
So I'm really excited to see her as a lead in her own project.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see more from her, and I think she's going to absolutely kill the role.
And what's cool, real quick, and full circle, when Bruce Banner was like really impressed with Shuri's like knowledge in Infinity War, remember that?
Yeah.
Now it's full circle. Shuri is like looking at her and she's like, "You're 19."
Yeah.
Like this was a homework project.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
This vibranium detector.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's cool to see Shuri on the other end of that now.
It's gonna be cool seeing her in her own series. Man.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
You're right. We didn't talk about her much, but we will talk about her more to come.
We sure will.
Yeah. So. Okay, I think it's time. It's almost an hour. Excuse me, almost an hour and a half. We haven't had this long of a review in a while. So
very long time. Yeah.
Shout out to Marvel for freaking rocking it again. Once again, shout out to Kugler for making an incredible movie. Shout out to all of you for listening, watching. We want to remind you to hit subscribe wherever you are tuning in, whether it's YouTube or if you're listening to the podcast version as well, somewhere else. And also follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. With all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy, Shamato, and Applezax, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.